The FBI is investigating a Republican congressional candidate by the name of Robert Hyde. You may have heard of him through the impeachment investigations. Now, he is the one who alleged that he was surveilling the former US ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. She was later ousted from the Trump administration, and she's very much part of this impeachment investigation. So the FBI is looking into him, and here's what we know based on the reporting. The FBI paid a visit to Republican congressional candidate Robert Hyde's Connecticut home and business, and that's according to a senior law enforcement official. One of Hyde's neighbors told NBC News that an FBI agent arrived at Hyde's home before dawn and parked out front in a gray SUV. The neighbors said they believe the FBI agent did not enter Hyde's home and left by 10:30 a.m. Hyde was has a no trespassing sign on his property and a sign indicating security cameras are in operation, the neighbor said. Now, he made some serious allegations, or at least serious claims, in his communications with Lev Parnas. He was essentially communicating to Lev Parnas that Marie Yovanovitch was being tracked, that they could tell when her phone was on or off, when her computer was on or off. And after these allegations were made public, Hyde decided to give an unhinged interview on Eric Bolling's show. So let's just show you a quick clip of that.
You had eyes on Marie Yovanovitch, the US ambassador to Ukraine, claiming that you were in sort of some way following her. Tell us your side of the story.
You meet a bunch of these characters when you're out there in the fundraising and events and supporting candidates. And, we just had some colorful texts, had a few pops way back when I used to drink. And, it's kind of unfortunate that the left had to get their panties in a bunch.
So you say the left have their panties in a bunch, Rob, but this is Lev Parnas, who was a close friend of good friend of ours, Rudy Giuliani's, but saying that, quoting you, or you showing a text of you saying we have a person inside. I mean, he's making some pretty hefty accusations. What do you want to say to Lev Parnas?
Yeah, those are pretty heavy accusations. I mean, it was just colorful. We were playing. I thought we were playing. I didn't know he was so serious.
Go ahead. I'm trying to figure this out. Listen. Did you have eyes on Marie Yovanovitch?
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? I'm a little landscaper from Connecticut. Excuse my language. Come on. You know me, Eric.
So he's arguing that he wasn't serious, that he was just messing around, but there were documents provided to investigators by Lev Parnas, and in some of these exchanges, he was quoted as saying, "They are moving her now." Hyde said in a message to Parnas on March 25th, "She talked to 3 people, her phone is off, computer is off." He said in another text, "She's next to the embassy, not in the embassy." So there were some specific details about where she was, what she was doing with her technology at the time. And so who knows what the reality is. I'm glad that he's being investigated by the FBI. But before we open this up, I do want to show one more clip from this interview with Bolling.
I'd like to see the full text come out because there was some real colorful stuff said by Parnas. Obviously, the only thing.
Well, like what?
And it's saddens because the only thing that offends is stuff that offends the left. They'd rather be offended by this WhatsApp colorful, out of color.
Well, look, Rob.
Colorful.
Rob.
Hold it. Colorful text between Parnas and I. Why we're having a few pops, smoking a couple cigars somewhere out in the world, and they'd rather be offended at this than care about the opiate crisis epidemic going on across the country, or they'd rather be offended than support the Iranian protesters. The Democrats literally have taken this, anything to be offended about anything rather than making America great again.
So his tactic here is to deny. What do you guys think about all this?
Wow, you wanna go?
Where did he learn that tactic, right? Like Donald Trump is going to, one of his legacies is going to be all of these small-time politicians who feel like they watched Goodfellas once, and then they were like, "Oh, I guess that's how you do it," and then they like say random stuff. But I don't know, bada bing, I got the guy on the surveillance.
We had some pops,
we had a couple pops. What do you want to do? And I'm Italian. Like this is a culture that I care about, my Italian culture. But listen, like this is this like small time crookery that is so overt and weird, and and the denials are weird because they have seen that they don't have to actually even come up with an alibi.
So look, if this is proven to be true, and he was surveilling a US ambassador to Ukraine, and by the way, some of these messages,
who pretends to do that, right?
They imply that her safety was at risk, right? Which is why she was told to get back to the United States immediately. So I want to get to the bottom of this, but the reason why I'm bringing up those details is because if these details are proven to be true, it's not a small time crime. This is serious, right? And so for people who are like, oh, this impeachment investigation, there's nothing to it, it's just angry Democrats who want to do away with Trump. No, there are real crimes here, right?
Absolutely.
Many of which have already been proven, some of which still need to be investigated. And if someone's life was at risk because of Donald Trump's need to get an upper hand in the election, the American people deserve to know about it.
Not only do they deserve to know about it, like Hyde in that point was like, I didn't know this was serious. I didn't know this was serious. Apparently when in the text he was like, when they were monitoring Yovanovitch or whatever, Hyde was texting, hey broski, what are we gonna do on this? It was apparently broski level serious. So it's like, he crossed the broski line there. But like, yeah, as you were saying, like, what, is this bad Godfather? Is this like, to me, this is just frat dudes getting in trouble in college, but like, it's at a way higher level, but it's the same type of stuff. It's just like, I don't know, we had some beers, decided to steal the golf cart, went around for a joyride, thought it was fun, what's the big deal?
Surveilled an ambassador,
yeah, you know.
And that's the thing is like, it's easy to forget when we're dealing with political figures that they are literally like all the same bags of skin and bones and tissue that we are, right? Like they're just humans. And yet
Are
Trump, right. Maybe they're not human, but Trump has issued in this era of like backroom dealing and like, hey, check this guy out for us, follow this guy, and then somehow you feel like you're being favored, and it's hard to trace and it's hard to unpack. And congratulations to anyone who is chasing it and following it, because this is what they do, right? Like they flood you with illegal dealings and weird machinations like this, and then people at some point just throw up their hands and go like, okay.
Right.
I didn't track it all the way, and then it disappears.
I disagree with you only slightly. Like Trump isn't there's been egregious crimes done like that other presidents have been really good at. Like I joke with John.
They're just a little more sophisticated and
but that's what I'm saying. Everything.
Yep.
No, we are agreeing. I think because like everything being so blatant is in some ways it helps the American public, right? Like we go like, oh, that's obvious. Like, I couldn't have missed that.
I know. I mean, the transparency in criminality here is fascinating
so bad
because I mean they're so bad at it, but sure, it's good for the American people to see what's really going on, but at the same time, it's been so discouraging to see how little there is in terms of consequences.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe Trump's day will come, but he has gotten away with a lot. But to be fair, some of the unsavory figures around him haven't. Like the people who have been close to him in his criminality have had their day in court, and some of them are already in prison.
Yeah, but like even then, some of them have gotten months in prison, which is nothing compared to like what would happen if you did half of these same crimes and you weren't connected to the president. So there's like
that's a great point.
The aspect of that kind of gets to me, but the other aspect is that the fact that it's so transparent, the fact they're doing crime so badly and so openly is only as helpful as however many people are paying attention to it. Because
that's a good
a
point.
lot of people have just like made up their mind and tuned out in kind of a way we wouldn't be so awful with like, okay, you can't convince me further that Trump is a horrible person. This new like exorbitant crime Inc. like letter here is not going to help me with that. But for other people who are somehow on the fence of whether or not Donald Trump is a crook, I don't know if it's breaking to them either, because if you're at this point and still trying to make that assumption, I don't know if this question's right for you.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different way of political thinking that is still a barrier.
Yeah, I get it. I do want to though provide one other aspect of this story. Lev Parnas, The reason why we know about Robert Hyde and his involvement in all this is because of Lev Parnas. As you know, he had a series of interviews recently and he was asked about Hyde. And so in this next clip, he talks about whether he takes Hyde's comments about tracking Marie Yovanovitch seriously. Take a look.
What is the context of these text exchanges? He appears to be giving you very specific information about the ambassador's movements, about her location, about her security situation. Why did those exchanges happen? What was he trying to tell you?
Well, I don't believe it's true. I think he was either drunk or he's was trying to make himself bigger than it was. So I didn't take it seriously, and I was trying to, if you see, I didn't even respond to him most of the time, and if I did, it was like something like LOL or okay or great or something like that, just to, because I wouldn't respond for a long time, and then I didn't want him to get rowdy if I saw him next time and say, oh, why didn't you type a response? So I would just amuse him until eventually, as you could see, I cut him off. Because what happened is when he sent me those, I got disturbed. I was like, whoa, well, this is crazy. Like, is this guy off the wall?
Well, the texts where he was supposedly reporting on the whereabouts of the ambassador went on for a week. I mean, it wasn't like one drunk night. This went for 7 days. Well, he couldn't have been drunk the whole time.
No, he's drunk all the whole time. He wakes up and he's drunk. He starts at 6, and I mean, I've never seen him not drunk.
So you thought that this was him making it up? You didn't believe he actually had the ambassador under surveillance?
No, absolutely not.
So the FBI is looking into it. We'll figure out whether or not Marie Yovanovitch's life was actually in danger. But just some important details to know about if you happen to be in the district that Robert Hyde is running in.
Can you imagine having, their alibi is literally like, we had an extended joke where we pretended to be surveilling someone. That's the alibi.
I know.
That's the whole thing.
We were joking.
It was just like this long-term joke. Like, who has the spare time to have long-term? You and I have each other's numbers. We don't text about surveilling people. That's
Bro, we were just like drinking for one night or 6, and then all of a sudden we end up in this like fake stalking.
And then we start joking around about the safety of a US ambassador.
Yeah. For
Not a big deal.
days and days.
Crazy.
Oh, God.
TYT is all about challenging and disrupting the status quo, and so is Aspiration. Aspiration does not invest your money into fossil fuel businesses that harm our planet, such as pipelines and oil drilling. Instead, you'll be able to fight climate change with tools like AIM, the Aspiration Impact Measurement, and Planet Protection. They also don't hit you with outrageous fees for you to access your own money. You can even earn cash back and get free ATM uses up to 5 times a month. Head to aspiration.com/TYT to learn more. For a limited time, get 30 days of free TYT membership when you sign up.